Make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus, just like me.
Yeah. How's it going, people? I hope you're good. Can we get a comms check? Can you see and hear me all right? If so, tell me, and then we can rock and roll. This is part 2 of a live stream which I've done earlier today. And thanks for everyone for the feedback on that. I've taken some notes with some of the comments that you guys made, so appreciate it. John Baldwin, thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Who have we got in the house? Moderators, we got Liz. Hi, Liz. Earthheart. John Baldwin, obviously. Don't tread on me. Ashley. All right, brother. Rachel. Good to see you, honey. Carl McPhee as well, as always. Fantastic to see. Mr. Steve. Down in Portsmouth, of course. And Barbara Edwards, member. Spot on. Right, okay. Who else? I just saw some familiar names as well. Wow, 241 people. Thanks. Run to the Woods, Warhawk, John Farley. Cool beans. We got the regulars in the house. Marvelous. Right, let's crack on. Where we left off earlier, if you didn't see the live stream before, you could watch it if you like. It might make a bit more sense. I'm just going to come out to chat because it's really confusing when I've got all of this information set here and all the way at the top of the screen. There's a lot to go through. So our phones are not what we think. Okay, here's a phone, and I always cover up the camera on there. I just don't like it spying on me, etc. And we all know there's technology now which it can get facial recognition data, etc., etc., etc. I'm a firm believer in freedom, and freedom runs alongside with privacy. So if you value freedom and privacy, my content's for you. If you don't give a shit about your freedom or your privacy, then maybe you shouldn't really watch what I do, because that's the truth of it. When we boil away the piss, that's what we got. So our phones are not what we think, the title of this video. Now, there's 3 videos which I've posted underneath this one, okay? One of them is where all of this come from. A good friend of mine, Richard, some of you know him, his name is Richard Vobes. He done a video a few days ago. He had this guy from Canada talking about smartphones, and they are not just spying on us, which most of us are probably aware of anyway. Okay, it's way more than just that. Okay, now I want to just put this information out there so people can just run off and do their own research based upon what I'm going to be telling you guys. All right, don't take my word for it. Go and check it out yourself. All right. So there's that one. Also, there's another video by someone who I've come to know about, gee whiz, 13 years ago. His name is Barry Trower. Some of you might have heard that name. I don't know if he's still alive. He was getting on a bit 10, 12, 13 years ago now. A very, very knowledgeable guy. In fact, he's probably in the top 5 or maybe even the very top person on the planet with knowledge about radio frequencies, EMFs, Wi-Fi, phones, etc. He's the guy who invented the Tetra communication system, which the UK police still use today. He's the guy. He really knows his shit. All right. So if you want to know more about what Barry's been saying, there's a cool video. It's the second one underneath this video. Click or tap more, and you can see that. All right. It's about an hour long. It's really in depth. Okay. And there's another one as well, which is quite fascinating. So if you want to see those videos underneath, check them out, and it's you might learn something. All right, it's really, really interesting. So to summarize what came from the video from Richard Vobes, one of the key notes which was taken from that presentation was a term called optogenetics. Optogenetics. So basically, what that means, and we're going to try and simplify it, all right? I'm not an expert, okay? This is just information. Basically, when you see an infrared signal. You can't see it with the naked eye. Okay. Special forces, I think US Marines use these strobing beacons, and one of those modes is IR mode, infrared. Okay, so you can be out in the middle of nowhere, like I live out in the mountains in Wales, where the SAS do their training. It's dark skies here. There's no light pollution. Okay, it's really dark. You get one of those IR strobes and you set it off. You won't be able to see it with the naked eye, but helicopters flying low, doing special ops training at night time, no lights on, they will see it with their cameras, and they would just come in, home down on that signal, and collect the guy, and off they go. Okay, it can't be seen with a naked eye, but people have been recording it. It's very interesting. Did you know that your phone, the camera on the front and the back, constantly strobes? It's flashing all of the time. We can't see it because, like I said, it's an infrared. Our eyes can't pick up infrared, but cameras can. All right. So there's, especially iPhones. iPhones are way worse than Android phones, apparently, especially from the 12 upwards. The amount of tech that's in those things are frightening. All right. So that's quite freaky to see. Because basically, I'm going to show you some presentation stuff in it, so bear with me. Okay, optogenetics. The frequency and the pulsing of lights affect us and can control what we think inside our heads. Yeah, basically. If you don't already know, the human body basically is standing upright, is an antenna. Okay, the brain is a send receive antenna. That's what it is. Okay, we've got this thing around us, a field, which we're going to go on in a minute. Okay, and it's usually 2 meters, like we're inside a football. All right, it's invisible, you can't see it, but it's there. All right, now all of our thoughts, memories, etc., are in this field. It's not in our heads. Okay, if you think all of your memories and whatever it is and what you know so far is inside your head, it's not. Okay, inside the skull is the brain, left brain and the right brain, and that sends and receives information. If you have a motorbike accident and you damage your brain, what you've actually done is you've smashed up your device to send and receive information, which is stored inside your 2 meter field. Okay, and isn't it weird that back in 2020, social distancing, they didn't want people to be 2 meters within? Training exercise, like I keep telling you. So we're going to go to the first slide, if I can find it on here. Oh god, I've got so many. Here it is. So thank you to whoever you are who corrected me on the term for this. The term that was used on the Richard Vo's presentation from the Canadian guy is not right. He called it a biosphere, and it's not. Okay, it's called a toroidal field. If you don't know what I mean, we're going to look at it here. Let me just check if it's being presented. Sweet. Yeah, so here it is. Here's a really good example of it. Okay, roughly 2 meters in all directions, we have this invisible field around us. Okay, just because we can't see it with our eyes, it doesn't mean to say it doesn't exist. If you put special cameras, lenses that pick up certain frequencies, you can actually see this. Okay, and also you can do photography where it's a smaller area, like an aura around us with different colors. I forget the term. Some of you will probably put it in the chat right now what that's called. It's a certain type of photography where it can capture your aura around you. Okay, because one of the most interesting things to try and understand is the human eye can only see less than 1/2% of visible light. We can't see anything really. If it's pitch black, you're in a lift or a warehouse, there's no lights at all, you can't see a thing. Okay, that's how crazy it is. We can't see radio waves, electromagnetic waves, we can't see microwaves, gamma rays, radioactive rays, nothing. We can't see bugger all. We're basically blind. And one of the weird things that the people who know this shit, who's running things, they know that we believe what we see. We've been brainwashed as kids. That term, seeing is believing. Do you remember that one? Once you've had that told to you thousands of times over years, people believe it. Okay. Wow. What about the matrix? Okay. Electrical signals interpreted by the brain are 5 senses. Okay. What about X-rays? You go to hospital, you've got a bad shoulder or something, and they X-ray you. Then waves go right through you. You, believe it or not, are not physical. You think you are because you can feel it, but there's signals from the brain. Okay, we are not solid. The world isn't solid. I know it's far out, and a lot of people just can't deal with it. But there was a scientist, no, sorry, a professor a long time ago, and I forget what his name is, but he said if you look at everything that's physical that you can see, every single thing has an atom. And in that atom, right in the very center, it's a nucleus. And when you zoom in to see the size of that nucleus, which is inside every single physical thing, check this out. Every single physical thing that we know on the planet's surface of this world, if you was to extract just the nucleus of every physical thing and you jammed it all together, do you know how big that physical thing would be? The size of a sugar cube. Yeah, far out or what? Yes, the size of a sugar cube. Do you think that's air you're breathing? I know this is going to go deep. It's crazy, but this is one of the things. These waves go through us. They do. What about Wi-Fi? That goes through brick walls. It goes through people. Okay? We basically think we're physical and solid, but we're not. It's a mind shag. I know it is, right? But bear with me, okay? Let me just look at that. But let me see, where is it here? Yeah, they done experiments with rats, I think it was, and checking the brains on these EMFs and signals that come out of phones. And it is pretty insane because when they try different lights shining in certain pulse frequencies to rats, behavioral patterns absolutely changed. And they've been doing this for years, but now it seems they are doing it with us. Optogenetics. I'm going to show you just a short video and it will explain some of the things which I'm talking about.
It is now possible to precisely control the activity of specific neurons and therefore understand how each neuron contributes to brain function.
That is a pretty old video. Believe it or not, that video was 13 years ago that was made. Okay, it was almost being pioneered to an extent back then. There was some group study research going on prior to when that video was produced 13 years ago. But the general consensus is that this optogenetics light therapy, as it were, was pretty much being considered groundbreaking at that time, 13 years ago. Now, we all know how rapid and fast technology evolves, okay? And not all of the time for the better, all right? So what else have we got? One of the things which we are going to see, I'll tell you what, let me just show you this, show you that, and it will explain what I mean about the pulsing signals that come with this, okay? One of them is LiDAR, okay? Light detection and ranging, LiDAR, a remote sensing technology that uses laser pulses to measure distances and create 3D models of the environment, okay? Basically, it's a measuring device, okay? This isn't the crux of what I'm talking about, but it has got a part to play, okay? Now, when you look at the difference of these phones, we can't see it with our eyes, but certain cameras can record these pulses, and we're going to show a clip of this happening. These are iPhones, okay? So we got a Galaxy Note 10 Plus on this side, and we've got a 2020 iPad Pro here. Now watch what happens with the infrared light, which is picking it all up. Can you see it? We can't see it with our eyes, but that's what's going on all of the time these phones are on. And this here, we're going to show a bit of this in a sec. It's quite freaky, to be fair. It's pretty mad technology, but this stuff has been hidden for a while. So there's a guy, I'm not going to put the sound on because it's music on it. It might screw it up and get it banned, but we're going to talk over it. Now, what this guy's doing is using his phone to map his face, and it requires these pulsating lights. And I think it's one of those iPhones. The problem is we've got a younger generation who think all of this stuff's cool. They can't see the dangers. So we can talk about that in a bit. Let me just double check. Yeah, right. Here we go. So here it is the guy, and he's got it on infrared so he can see. Wow. See the lights just literally bathing him with this grid mesh network all over the immediate vicinity in front of that phone. And what it's trying to do is it's trying to measure from the device to where those dots are to see how blurry, how bent they are, and it measures the distance, basically allowing mapping. Literally map any area of any room of anything solid. It will just record all of that as data. Okay, and also read your face, your body characteristics, everything. So that's part of the stuff that's sort of known. All right. So these phones that we've got, they're not just a privacy evasive tool. There's so much more going on. Like I said, when I mentioned the toroidal field, or if in America, I think they call it the BIOS field. Okay, it's basically that like 2-meter circle in all directions, all the way around us, with our heart being right in the center. Imagine the gyroscope. You remember back in the days where people went in a gyroscope on the raves and all of that crazy stuff? Same sort of thing as that, right? But wasn't it weird that they was doing social distancing back in 2020 when all of these weird experiments got pressed, as the fire button got pressed? All right. It's a bit odd, don't you think? But not only that, if I can find it somewhere. Yes, back in 2020 and 2021, some of you guys will remember this, that whilst everyone, well, most of us, were in lockdown, we were scared. We believed that there's a killer thing out there and we're all going to get it. So we stayed inside. Okay, that's what pretty much happened. Not everyone, but the majority. Okay, whilst that was going on, there were people with their phones recording companies installing 5G masts and towers all over the UK whilst people were in lockdown. That's fact. And one of the places where they decided to install these facilities were near schools first. If that's not sinister enough, but nonetheless, it happened. Okay, and we're going to talk a little bit more about street lights and all of that, etc. To be honest, let's talk about it now. Actually, we can show that now because I've got it all queued. Where is it? The digital mesh. There it is. Right. Okay. So what we have currently, this is here right now, all the way around the planet, there is what's called a digital mesh global network. Okay, so we can pretty much point the finger at Elon Musk with I keep wanting to say Skynet, but it's not, is it? It's the I keep getting them mixed up. Sorry about that. But where the internet comes from, the satellites, okay, they are literally all the way around the planet, providing a mesh for the entire planet. So we are in like a big web. This is the World Wide Web. All right. It's, if you was to look at images from space, looking at the planet, it would be quite shocking with how all of this is covered. Okay. Apparently, someone said every square meter on planet Earth is now covered by these frequencies, which are being beamed from satellites in low Earth orbit. They call it LEO. Okay, so it's the lowest point that they can do as we go through the zones and the areas as we go towards space. Low Earth orbit, it's all there. So let me see. Yep. Right, cool. We're going to go back to this one. I've mentioned this before, and do you know what? I did find it quite hard to find images of this. Now, that's probably by design too. Now, we spoke about 5G, okay? Like it went up, most of them went up 2020 and 2021. And we're going to show that now from the government. So this is the government website. Press release, okay? This was 9/11/2021. Look at that. Wow. 20 years to the day, 2 decades after 9/11. Something interesting there. Street lamps and bus shelters that help boost 5G rollout in a 4 mil trial. It's true. This, they call it infrastructure, and to some extent it is. They call it street furniture. Okay, so we have lampposts with the masts on the top, and we've got some images to show that as well. So we can scroll down through the report and we can see this. Look, the first round of the Shared Outcomes Fund is funding a wide range of projects that were run between 2020 to 2021 and in 2022 to 2023. Just like I said, during lockdown, this is when it all got rolled out. Okay, and you're more than welcome to come and find that yourself online. I'm not making it up. It's absolutely true. Very nefarious. It's almost like this was all been planned a long time ago, and when the right time comes, they just literally just do it. Very, very smart. And this is the sort of thing that I'm talking about. Okay, so some of you have probably seen images like this. I don't know why it comes up so small, but these, you have the main base antenna where the great big thick, like 1 foot thick pole or pipe, where the frequencies beam from that, it will get picked up from this one and it get bumped onto these ones. Now, this is the only image, believe it or not, that I can find of this. There's just hardly any out there. But I would say more than half of the UK streetlights have these little aerials on the top, these little stubby things. They probably range from 2 to 3 inches, probably no more than 10 millimeters in diameter. Okay, this is where the 5G signal will be pinged from. Okay, so that's the thing that happened. Okay, let me just see if there's any more. Right. Yes. So this is quite interesting. Not all of this is about 5G. Okay. No, there's more. Look at this. Here we go. The 5G frequency range. Okay. Low, mid, and high. Okay. 5G uses a range of frequency bands which are divided into 3 categories. Okay. High band with much higher speeds but cover a small radius. Okay. This is the point I'm trying to make. The distance between the streetlights are not very far. The higher the frequency, the narrower the wave, the less it can travel. So it will literally ping from lamppost to lamppost. The higher the frequency, the faster everyone's broadband's going to be. Okay, it's crazy. Look at that, between 24 and 40 gigahertz. That is high frequency. That's crazy high. I think it's 2.4. I think it's megahertz. Or no, sorry, gigahertz for 4G. So it's a massive uplift. Okay, and they've literally bumped it from 1 to 2. Okay, frequency range 2, between 24 and 71 gigahertz. Okay, remember this one, the maximum 71 gigahertz. Okay, so 71 gigahertz, keep that in mind. I want you to look at this. 70 gigahertz effects on the brain. Look at this. Wow. EMF exposure can cause decreased learning ability and cognitive impairment. Radio frequency, electromagnetic field, RF EMF exposure can cause neurological cognitive disorders such as headaches, tumors, dizziness, loss of memory, and loss of concentration. Behavioral changes. Exposure to radio frequency radiation has been observed to cause changes in behavior in lab animals. Brain tumors. In animals, exposure to radio frequency radiation has been associated with an increased risk of malignant brain tumors. Unbelievable. Other reported symptoms of EMF exposure include, what have we been seeing here? Anxiety, suicide and depression, nausea, fatigue, and loss of libido. And of course, the World Health Organization is wading in as well, saying abortions, low birth weight, and cognitive diseases. All right, so serious things, which is all to do with how bad these phones are. And let me see when we come down here. So all of these things are connected to other things to enable it to work to its full potential, which is evil, by the way. Okay, so as we know, frequencies and radio waves, etc., travel through the air. All right, so when you think about it, what is in the air outside? Think of the chemtrails. Think of all of that stuff which is being sprayed into the atmosphere, which is gently falling down onto leaves, which are being diseased on trees. Animals, we've had a reduction in bee activity, butterfly, insects and stuff like that. In actual fact, I was talking to a friend of mine at the prep meet not long ago, and he was saying he's got friends that literally driving from Wales to London in summertime, and on the windscreen of the coach and on vans, there wasn't one single bug splat. Now, I have never, ever come across that in my entire life while I've been on this planet. It's always, we go through so much screen wash, don't we, in summertime, because there's stuff everywhere, insects. There was hardly any this year. So I can assume, or I can possibly come to the conclusion of that there's two things involved in that. One is the stuff that they're spraying in the air, and two, with the frequencies that are being put into the air as well. A combination of both, which seems more plausible the more we uncover this crap as we go down a rabbit hole. Okay, it's very, very alarming, because when we've seen samples taken from outside labs after there's been some heavy chemtrail spraying, we've seen aluminium, strontium, barium, and graphene oxide as well. Graphene oxide is pretty much a newer arrival to what was being sprayed in, say, the early 90s. In the 80s, there was never any chemtrail seen anywhere. In fact, I would ask you to look at through your old family photographs. If you're a little kid, you're outside, whether it's on the beach or something, look at the sky in the background. There's no white lines anywhere. I've not seen any evidence anywhere online or anyone showing me photographs saying, here it is, 1975, there's chemtrails everywhere. Bullshit. There hasn't been. This is a relatively recent thing. And look at what's changed. It's almost like all of these things started to come together at the same time. Mobile phones, 90s. Chemtrails, smartphones, 2007. All of these things are relatively a new discovery when you look at hundreds of thousands of years of human beings being here. All right, it's a relatively new thing. And look how much things have been changed. Okay, so when you consider that, this is the key thing. The graphene is like nanoparticle. You can't see it. It's so thin you just can't see it, but nonetheless it's there. Okay, it's moving around in the air everywhere we go, inside and outside. Now they literally connect with frequencies, EMFs. So when you hear, if I can show you, I've got some pictures of it somewhere. Here we go. The High Aurora Advanced Research Project. Now, these are the HAARP locations all around the planet. Okay. And look where they all centralize from, here in Wales. It's not far from Aberystwyth. Yes, the UK has its very own HAARP array area, which they do all sorts of weird and crazy things. And we look at the weather we've been having in the UK, that thing is 100% operational. One of these days I can see people go around there and smashing it up, and then when that happens, we'll probably have some nice blue skies again, because absolutely these frequencies that are being bounced off of the ionosphere from these locations are leading to our skies looking like this. Absolutely not natural at all. Despite the best efforts of the Met Office trying to explain these clouds away. I never saw these as a kid. Do you? I've never seen clouds like this. These are recent. And it all comes down to all of the crap which they are spraying in the sky. Charged particles with the amplification of energies in the atmosphere itself. All of this stuff is fitted inside planes which are going around spraying this stuff everywhere, charging up the air, making it pretty much conductive. So all of these things have a bearing of what's happening with these phones. Okay, the phone itself, if you look, when you brought your phone, it probably came in a box, and in that box, do you remember when you open it, there's all of these leaflets or manuals. Most of it is safety stuff. Okay, because you don't really need a paper manual. All you need to do is get an internet connection and you can work out how it works. So there's no user manuals like there used to be with the old Nokia 3210s, for example. Okay, but there is a lot of safety gumph in there. Most people go, oh, whatever. Look at it. Okay, most smartphones state that this device should be kept at a minimum 200 millimeters from your body. That's 10 inches. That's nearly 2 feet away. Okay, yet what happens? We put it in our pocket, right by our reproductive organs as males. And look at the birth rate across the planet. It has dropped since the introduction of these. Now, is that a coincidence? Of course it's not. It's happening. It's not the only thing, though. You run that alongside the other lanes of crap that's going on. What about all of the chemicals that we are eating? What about the chemicals we are putting on our skin, which is the biggest organ on the human body, getting absorbed into the bloodstream? Every chemical is reacting to another chemical. There are literally billions of chemicals inside us, all reacting and counter-reacting in their own unique way. Tumors of cancers and cancer have gone through the roof since smartphones were released, since Wi-Fi. I'm not making it up. And they are trying to make it even way more powerful with 5G. Some people say they haven't even activated 5G. There was a guy who made a video a few weeks ago, and he's got his own business and he repairs phones. We've all seen it. Some of the shops on the high street. Oh, my screen's cracked. I can't use it. I need to go into the shop. They'll take it apart, put a new screen on there, plug it back together, and it'll work. Well, guess what? This guy has been having quite a lot of 5G phones as they are being sold. And when he opens them up, there is a big space on the right-hand side at the front where there should be a 5G antenna. It's blank. There's nothing there. So many people are being conned into buying 5G phones, and they haven't even got a 5G antenna in there. Okay, they haven't, in my eyes, they haven't switched on the 5G masts yet. Okay, so we will probably realize when they do, because when they were doing tests, some of these things weren't far from residential areas. I mean, some of you guys might know that there's a 5G mast right by your house. When they try to fire up these tests to calibrate them and then turn them all off again, in that short period of time for a few days, people locally were getting nosebleeds, bad headaches, they couldn't sleep, etc. In fact, it all coincides with these lampposts, which have all gone over to LED. Okay, if you was to get a night vision camera or infrared camera and just record, what you will see, it will be like a rave. The street lights are going like this. We can't see it with our eyes, but the frequency and energy nonetheless is there. It's in the air, which is being charged with all of this radiation from these HAARP facilities, with the graphene and all the other heavy metals, which are so small, they're floating around the air. It's like the whole air as being positivized, if that's the term. Okay, really crazy, serious stuff. The amount of depression going on out there, the amount of people that are having big troubles sleeping, the amount of people who are feeling tired, is through the roof. In fact, let me know in the live chat, or if you're watching on the replay, put a comment in right now. Pause the video and do a comment. Have you been feeling tired since 2020 when these 5G masts were installed? Okay, so many people, including myself, we're all absolutely knackered. Some of us get low, some of us get snappy really easy, some of us get angry when we never used to be. This is all happening when these phones come out. They are way more dangerous than we realize. There's probably going to be some people in the chat who are saying how cool it is to not have a smartphone, but I would say 90% of everyone in the UK has one. Okay, people rely on them for business or whatever it is, but nonetheless, it's all down to choice. We have a choice, knowing how bad these phones are, to stop using them or to carry on using them. And I know it's really difficult because the amount of things that this smartphone can do is incredible. It's a good design. It's a very useful tool if used correctly. But, you know, when you hold it to your head with it turned on, you know, the cancers that are coming out in brains and tumors and stuff is incredible, really. But not only that, this is where it gets sinister. Okay, now please try and bear with me with what I'm going to propose. Okay, in 2020, the end of 2020 into 2021, lots of people were going to car parks, getting out of their car, queuing up and going into a makeshift tent to have something done to them. And I think you know what I'm trying to say. I can't say it because they will ban my video. You can see it scrolling across the bottom. My videos, I don't get money anymore from advertising. So if you can help donate, it really helps. Because when we talk about stuff like this, guess what? We get silenced. And they kick us in the nuts where it hurts financially. And if we carry on, they're probably going to go for our character, etc. That's what they do. They've been doing it for donkey's years. What about people who design vehicles that run on water? They're all dead. Their designs have been hidden away because it's going to upset all the people in the oil industry, etc. So it all goes along the same road. So when the people had this sort of stuff done to them, okay, that was a revolutionary new experimental thing. Okay, it's not just what usually goes into these things. This stuff had technology inside it. This technology right now is inside some people on the planet. Now, I don't know if this is real or this is false. Okay, I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying this. This isn't like fact check and all that sort of stuff. These are rumors, and I can't prove it because I don't know anyone near me who took part on all of this nonsense in 2020. But someone said that you can get your phone, you can turn the Bluetooth on, And what it will do, your phone will scan within 100 meters what Bluetooth key signatures are going to be presentable. Okay, so if you've got a Bluetooth speaker, you've got a Ring doorbell, or whatever it is, they will all come up, ding, 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 because it will find them. Someone said that the people who got that done to them with all of this technology inside them, if you stand near enough to them with your Bluetooth on, they will show up as a device. Wow. Whether that's true or not, I really don't know. But just imagine if that was the case. Can you imagine the ramifications, the implications, especially when we went right back to the start of this live stream, when we was talking about the pulsating lights coming out of the cameras of these phones, which is affecting our moods. It's making us have anxiety, depression, sleep problems, having the inability to recall information quickly like we used to. We seem to be in a fuddle. We're tired. We get angry easy. A lot of it is down to the stuff that's coming out of these phones. As an experiment, what would be good is to get that phone, to turn it off, stick it away for a week, turn the Wi-Fi off, and see if you can notice any differences. Now, this experiment is going to be a lot harder for anyone in an urban environment, because next door, their Wi-Fi will go straight through your house, probably into next door. As technology evolves, firmware gets updated, software gets updated, routers will reboot and get updated, and they will become more powerful. Okay. Luckily for me, I live in the middle of nowhere and there's no one around me for miles, so I'm not going to get bleed over from any Wi-Fi. But nonetheless, this is probably a good thing to do. Even if you wanted to go on holiday, to go camping in the middle of nowhere, go wild camping, right? Leave your phone at home, leave it in the car, or whatever you want to do, and give it like a week and see how you feel. Would your mood change? Would you get your clock, your circadian rhythm, which is going to be in tune when the sun sets and when the sun rises? You wake up with the sunrise and you settle down to sleep when the sun sets. That's what we should be doing. But these things are keeping us awake at night for hours, giving us sleep problems, etc. So if that's the case, that people are now going to be recognized as a device to a smartphone because of the technology which was put into them, it's a very sinister thing. So I'm going to propose something, and I've highlighted it in this. There was a case study in which we're going to talk about it right now. Okay. Very, very interesting. Digitalwellbeing.org. Okay. Kingsman, the Secret Service. It's a film which I saw years ago. Okay. And subliminal advertising. Could it really happen? This is a study. Okay. So if any of you guys have not seen this film, give it a watch. Okay. You can buy it on eBay for £1, or you can download it, or whatever it is, or find it probably on Rumble, God knows. But give it a watch, because this was made long before smartphones were a thing, pretty much. Okay. Compared to what they are now. So we're going to go through it, right? Look at this. The story itself is outlandish. Sending a signal to smartphones causes people to spontaneously attack each other. The possibility of subliminal signals being sent to our mobile handsets and influencing our actions is very real. We've already spoken about the experiments that were done on lab rats and stuff like that, where they've had all sorts of malicious stuff done to them just through pulsating lasers and lights. And it's commonly known now as subconscious priming. Okay, so lots of us would say subliminal programming, but it's being dubbed subconscious priming. So what subconscious priming is putting a film out there and basically getting people ready subconsciously for what's coming, because what's being presented is real, but it was being seen as science fiction. I think you understand what I'm saying. Look at this. Enter the public broadcaster, the BBC, who last week published the results of a real-world test of subliminal advertising just in time for the release of this film, Kingsman. Now that is sinister. Just in time, because let me tell you this, I believe that this film was done for a reason, and I believe that the technology exists right now to do what happened on this film. Now, I know I'm not looking at the chat, but some of you have seen this film. Okay. I'm going to show you a little clip, but I can't show it all in case of copyright. But the link to this video I'm going to show you now is available underneath this one. So if you want to watch it, you can. It's very, very interesting. And who remembers me doing videos about those emergency alert things on our phones? Do you remember that? Yeah. Lots of us took heed because we didn't want to take any chances. Don't forget, paranoid people live longer. It's my own quote from years ago, but it's true. Okay. When this emergency alert BS thing come out, whenever it did, last year, year before, I can't remember now, I literally ran my phone out. Naturally, it was dead. I wrapped it at least 6 to 10 times in thick tin foil and just left it in the microwave for a whole week whilst the government was sending out these emergency alert broadcast bullshit things. Like I say, this ties in with that film, The Kingsman, and we're going to show a little clip of it right now. Interesting stuff. So we've muted the sound, but yet, look at this. All of these things that were going on. It's the same sort of thing. Look at that. It was released 33 weeks and 3 days before they decided to do those emergency alert broadcasts, which is quite sinister. All right. So like I say, when you consider that film, and if you haven't seen it, give it a watch. All right. It's a pretty cool film if you like action films and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, the emergency alert thing. As soon as they publicized that they were going to do that, I instantly thought of that film I saw years ago. Oh my God. Do you remember when everyone on the planet was hoodwinked into getting high speed, and I mean high speed broadband globally, everywhere on the planet for free? Who wouldn't want to sign up to that? Who wouldn't want, 20 gig broadband for free, 24/7, no bills? You won't have to pay Virgin Media and all that BT nonsense. Okay. In the film, everyone just went, wow, this is awesome. Everyone signed up to it. Okay. Everyone had to download an app for their phone. Now, think about it, people. Where have we seen that before? There it is. Where have we seen that before? Where lots of people downloaded an app. Okay. But not only that, when these emergency alert things come out, have you checked your phone lately? Do you think that your emergency alert receiving app is on or off? If you turn that off, you might want to go and check it again. Yeah, they have. It's pretty crazy. Let us know in the chat if you've checked it out recently and thought, wow, I remember turning it off and it's turned on again. And this is another thing which I said in a live stream earlier today. If there's any like software architects or phone developers out there, when you have an app and you deny permissions for that app, i.e. camera, microphone, when we turn them off or not give it permission, can that app override it and still use it anyway? Genuine question. Asking for a friend. All right. So yeah, all of this stuff's linked. Okay. So when you look at the RNA, which was put inside of people, okay, that alters DNA, by the way. Graphene oxide in the air. The High Aurora Advanced Research Project, HAARP, energies bouncing around off the ionosphere all over the planet, charging up these particles that are flying around everywhere. We've got 5G antennas on street lights, great big 5G antenna masts in city centers everywhere. and combine it all to these phones. It's pretty bonkers. It's pretty bonkers. This, if I can find it, it's a really in-depth analysis. It's the National Library of Medicine. Now, there's been a study. Now, I've skimmed through this because I didn't have time, because I had to go live and show you guys. I'm going to let you in on this. You can find this online and read it. And the information, especially the keynotes provided within this document, is quite interesting. So I'm going to show it on the screen now. Like I said, the National Library of Medicine. It's incredible. Smartphones and the neuroscience of mental health. Okay. It's pretty much a thing. This is all ID'd. All the tags are here, so you can check it out. It all boots and comes back as correct. This is a very, very long document. You see how long it is. It's huge. It goes into depression, how it's changed because of smartphones, how this light technology affects brain waves. It's fascinating. It really is. And to be honest, it's probably going to go over a lot of people's heads. It's massive. All right. So if you get a chance and you're interested, have a look at this manuscript, which was released by the National Library of Medicine. Okay. This website is going to be updated as well in a couple of weeks. So this might change. But this was written, look at this, in 2022, the 14th of May. And there's been some amendments in there as well. Nonetheless, it's quite interesting to see some of the conclusional studies off the back of mental health with mobile phone technology. It's quite crazy. We talked earlier on about 5G and the extremely high frequency band ranges in the gigahertz section. I want you to look at this as well. Look at what it does to us. Yes, high-frequency electromagnetic fields can affect DNA. Look at this. Because some of these frequencies from these new 5Gs are going to enter the lower points of this range. Okay, when we look at 70 gigahertz as a top end, yes, sperm damage, cell cycles, cell stress. There is a lot, people. There is an absolute, it's just, we are walking into an absolute nightmare, to be fair. And they literally know what they're doing because they've got all of us hooked, addicted, etc. I feel for the younger generation, you know, because as a grown adult over the age of 50, you know, I'm more than capable of making up my own mind and doing what I think I need to do. But these youngsters, they just are absolutely hoodwinked and addicted totally with phones, etc. Like we said, when you use it old school, the damage is already being done. Okay, you can see there, and look at this. This one is quite horrific when you look at a pregnant woman. Okay, with these electromagnetic waves. And the last image is EMF shielding clothing. Okay. And look, it just goes right through. And you can see how soft the brain is from that baby inside and the effects. I mean, if you're looking at human connections and interested in human psychology, what this is doing to people is absolutely abhorrent. It's truly shocking, actually. There is such a term called, here we go, look, the electromagnetic field of the heart, which we talked about earlier. Okay, there's the toroidal field around us. It's absolutely attacking that, which is, I believe, the sole purpose for making or trying to make people social distance. Okay, and if who remembers back in 2020, they done a little mobile surveillance from the police. They pulled up in the car park. When things were going back to normal, when lockdown was finished, they literally put CCTV with facial recognition, and it was monitoring people who were social distancing and who weren't. Okay, all of it is one great big experiment. Now, I did say that underneath this video is by a guy who I look up to with the utmost respect. His name's Barry Trower. He has basically spent a lifetime in the groundbreaking research about wireless technology and the effects and frequencies on the human body and psyche, to be honest, or bio life. Okay, so here is the video which I have showed underneath, and like I said, this was in 2012. Okay, now if you want to, like I say, the link to this video is underneath, and it's absolutely fascinating. The stories and the results which this guy has spent, like I said, a life's work uncovering all of this stuff is unbelievable. It's incredible. But look, no comments. Okay, and this video has been up over 2 years now. So if you want to give it a watch, you will absolutely learn something. I completely guarantee that you're going to learn something there, because the information provided by Barry is insane. Okay, who remembers Mark Steele, the guy up in Newcastle, Sunderland way, who was talking about some of the technologies which he was developing? He and Barry have done seminars together, and some of the feedback has been quite remarkable when those two get their heads together. Well, thank you, Robert. I didn't expect any donations at all, but really appreciate that, sir. It absolutely helps the channel, because when you get shadow banned, it's not easy. Bloody hell. Carl McPhee as well. Dude, you're carrying my ass across the finish line. Without Carl, I think I'd struggle. You guys are awesome. So, where do we go from here? We have choices to make, okay? There's nothing stopping us changing our phones to an old brick phone. Now, I have, it's 5 or 6, I think I've got 6 now, 2G phones, okay? Now, some people say, oh, what's the point of having 2G phones? The networks, you can't use them no more. Well, I've got news for you people. I've worked within the network rail sector for 16 years. And what I was told is the entire network rail communication system runs on a 2G network. And if they wanted to upgrade it to 4 or 5G, it will take a minimum, and I mean a minimum of 10 years to do. So if they decided to do that, it's going to take 10 years. So you're looking way past 2030. So that gives us a ballpark estimate that if we want to use 2G technology, we've got about 10 years with it. All right. Because let me tell you this, without 2G, we've got no rail infrastructure. It will not work. It won't. I've worked with points management and signaling and all the rest of it within the rail sector, and that's how it all runs. So we got a choice. We can decide to use an old phone. It doesn't have to be 2G, a 3G, or a flip phone. You remember the what is it, Motorola Razrs, the V3 Razrs, all of those phones. Okay, now they are going to be sending and receiving information a lot less than these damaging smartphones. A lot less. They won't have that pulsing technology within them. Okay, you can still send text messages and phone calls. You still have functions on, like a camera, a video player, an MP3 player, a calculator, games. It's not all that bad. See, when you consider the information which I've just been talking about, how frigging bad and dire it is to our health and our kids' health, we're at a crossroads right now. We can decide to go and get one of these old phones and, you know, say goodbye to going on Facebook and WhatsApp and Signal all the bloody time. We can do, if you want to, it will probably have to be on a laptop at home. Or I don't know anything really about tablets or anything like that. I would guess that that tech is built into the cameras like I've just been talking about with the Optogenetics. I don't know. I would guess it probably got it in there. So either way, we've got decisions to make about how we go from here. Okay, it's only bad if we allow it. Okay, someone famously said Coca-Cola, how bad that stuff is. But do you know what? If every person on the planet stopped buying Coca-Cola for 2 days, that company will be bankrupt. It would close. That's how powerful we are, but we don't realize it. It's our freedom of choice, and we can make decisions. We can go to Starbucks gagging for a coffee, and when they say we don't do cash, it's card only, you've got a decision to make. You either grow a pair and you go, piss off, not a chance. By the way, I'm going to tell as many people as I can not to come here. And can you imagine if that happened? They would be out of business. Any business which is card only needs to be boycotted and exposed, because until we do that, they're going to carry on and they're going to make inroads into everything else. All I'm trying to say is we have choices. It doesn't have to be as bad as they want it to be. It's down to us. We have to be pioneers now. In fact, every one of you watching this video is a pioneer in his own right, or her own right. We are the ones at the front line here. We are the ones coming up with ideas. We are the ones seeing and feeling how bad we're getting screwed. We are the ones who are coming up with ideas to navigate around all this, to ensure not just us, but our loved ones are healthy, happy, and safe during these abominable times. They're terrible times that we are living in. Okay, it's sad. You walk around in society and you see people, they look so down, so depressed, so low, so tired. And you say to them, "You're all right?" They go, yeah, fine. They're absolutely full of shit. They're not fine. But this is what's happening. And behind the scenes, you know, that person goes home that day feeling so low, might not even wake up the next day, if you know what I mean. It's crazy. In fact, if you look at the rate of suicide since 2020, it's never been as high as it is now in its history of Samaritans or something. It's just bonkers. But nonetheless, it's happening, all right? And like Kay says, all done by design. Exactly. You know, you could look at all sorts of things about where everything's going, all right? You know, the end of, you know, a third of the population on the Earth's surface could be wiped out on the 16th of May, 2040. 2030, all of the powers that be will be safely locked up in their bunkers underneath, letting us all fight for whatever up on the surface, okay? But before they do that, they're getting their shits and giggles out of screwing us up as many ways as possible and getting us to pay for it. That's the saddest part. We are paying for our own demise. We're all paying our taxes. We're all contributing to the shit show. It's Jesus Christ. Dude, have a drink on me. A drink? That'll buy me a bottle of scotch. Dude, I really appreciate that. Bus driving ninja. Sorry, I snort laughed. Thank you, that's amazing. Bus driving ninja. Wow. Bit of Bruce Lee going on. Seriously appreciate that. That's amazing. The generosity of people never ceases to amaze me. But nonetheless, this is true. Okay, there's a lot of people out there who are really going through it. Okay, and the powers that be absolutely love it. They do. Because what you have to remember is, I don't know, between 5 and 10% of every single living person on the planet right now is essentially evil. I mean evil. They wouldn't even blink or feel one shred of remorse if they got their car and driven over a newborn baby. They wouldn't give a toss. They wouldn't be affected in any way. Now, between 5 and 10% of the global population, that's a shitload of people. And how many of these people are in positions of authority and or power? I would say most of them. Most of all of the top fortune companies around the world with CEOs and all of the people in governments and the royal family, the amount of literally evil folk there is how all of this is being done. And some people say, you know, all the power is coming from the top 1%, and 99% of us are just literally giving away all of our power. We can decide what we want, okay? We have to stop living in fear. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. We have to stop living in fear. And that's all it is. And the fear is, I've had it up to here with driving 20 miles an hour to save the planet. It's bullshit. It's hurting my car. It's making me late for work. It's stressing me out. It's literally winding everyone up. And all I want to do is get a disc cutter and cut down that 20-mile-an-hour sign. I really want to, but I can't. Why can't I? Because I'm scared if I get caught. And if I get caught, I might get fined or go to prison or be told off or arrested or whatever it is. That's a fear which most people have. That's how they run things. If you look at Freemasonry with the two pillars, one represents religion and one represents law. Okay. If you go or believe in both or one of those, they got you by the nuts. If you don't believe or follow the law, or you're not religious, you're pretty much a free man. Okay. If you can survive and thrive without money, wow, you've cracked it. They haven't got you. In fact, look at Putin in Russia. Okay. They are doing everything they can to provoke him into a war. They are doing everything to wind him up. Why? Because Russia is not in bed with the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. And they really want to get in that country. Why? Because there is an absolute shitload of minerals and materials to get out of Russia to make an absolute fortune. Putin's having none of it. But we are being told on mainstream, like I keep saying, what we are being told in the mainstream is the opposite of what's true. Okay. Putin isn't the bad guy. NATO is. Okay. Zelensky, my God, that guy, if you think, oh, poor little bloody Ukraine and bad bully boy Russia, if you believe in what the mainstream are telling you, it's the opposite. It's the other way around. Ukraine, Zelensky, and NATO are the evil ones. And they are just going for minerals like they've always done in Russia. Okay. Like I said, Russia is not in bed with the IMF. Most countries around the planet are. And they've literally sucking minerals and money out of all of those countries, getting them into debt for infrastructure projects and contracts, which they are going to go, do you know what? We can't pay this back, this loan, to have our infrastructure in Africa. Take what you need. Oh, we can have some of that iron or some of that copper or some of that oil. You know what I mean? It's true. So it is. Philip Graham, yes, everything is back to front. It is. It is. Everything is the opposite. That's why so many sheep are screwed up, because they are believing the wrong shit. Luckily for us, we're awake, or we're becoming awake or aware that we can see through this BS. But the problem is, like I say, so many people believe in the bullshit out there. And all they're going to think is, what happened in 2020? Well, it had to be true, because how could they pull off a great big lie and no one gets caught? Believe me, I've heard people say that. I'm thinking, wow, they obviously haven't heard that age-old term. Okay, the bigger the lie, the more believable it is. And usually these things are hidden in plain sight, because most rational thinking people would think to themselves, they wouldn't do that, would they? Guess what? They've done it in 9/11, they've done it in 2020, and there's more shit to come. In fact, here's the thing. Now, not many people know this. If there's any errants in the house, let me hear you say, yeah. Check this out. 2012, London Olympics. 8 years later, 2 Olympiad cycles of 4 years equals 8 years. What do we get? 2020. Exactly what they've put on that show, on the opening ceremony in the London 2012 Olympic Games, happened in 2020, 8 years before. We're in 2024 now. So what Olympics was 8 years before? 2016 Rio. I'm not going to spoil it, but watch that opening ceremony and look what's happening now. I could let a little bit of the cat out of the bag. All of this migration stuff was in that 2016 Rio Olympics. Go watch it. Yeah. That's all we need to do. We need to wake our asses up and realize this, because the elites, the powers that be, they are operating on 2 Olympiad cycles of 8 years. Okay. So the Olympics that we saw this year, 8 years from now, whatever was in there, which was like taking the piss out of the Last Supper and all of that trans shit, that's where they want their goals to be ticked off in 8 years from now. They've given themselves a target of 8 years to do that. All right. So, yeah. You either wake up or you go back to sleep. Simple as that. But nonetheless, these phones are frigging dangerous. And if you really want to watch more about this, if you haven't seen it already, look at this video underneath, and there is a link. The first one that you see, watch here. Okay, it's an hour-long video, just like this one, with my friend Richard Vobes and the guy from Canada, where they talk about some of his optogenetics. It's incredible. It really, really is worth a watch. So when you get a chance, watch that video, the first one underneath this one. Okay, and pass this video on, share it as well, and Richard's one. The more people see this sort of stuff, the more we can have a better idea, the more we can see the world differently and go, oh yeah, that's BS. I'm not falling for that one. We will automatically be updating our instinct and intuition to navigate ourselves safely through all of this stuff, and we're going to be fine. The people who aren't on their path or aren't awake yet, they're going to be the ones literally walking off a cliff, probably looking at their phone screen. So yes, if you can share this video on Facebook, WhatsApp, and Telegram, and all of the other ones, I would seriously appreciate it, like big time. All right, so that is it. We're on the last day of the month. I'm going to have a break. I'm going to probably be doing a live stream again on Friday, so I'm going to be offline for a couple of days. I need to get my head out of all of this chaos and stick it somewhere nice. Oh, you know what I'm talking about. Nature as well. Nature heals. Okay, like I said, one of the reasons why we're all feeling like shit is because we are being bombarded by all these invisible radio waves, etc. If you want to break from it, hit the woods, hit the beach, get away from buildings and cell towers. All right, it will literally recharge you and make you feel so much better. So thanks to everyone who's taken part in the live chat. Thanks to everyone who shared this video. I really appreciate it. And everyone who's watched this on the replay, thanks very much. And also the people who support me behind the scenes in between live streams. This is a big shout out to you. Thanks so much. Okay, there's Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-fi, and PayPal. The guys who do that, honestly, you are carrying me through this mess because they're shutting me up. They don't want me talking about this. So without the help of you guys, I don't know where I'll be. So you guys take care. We'll see you next Friday. All right. But if anything interesting or major important happens, I'll try to get something up before then. But take it as given. I'll see you on Friday. All right. So you guys take care. Thanks for watching and stay funky.